Political parties dismiss the Barbados Labour Party's manifesto. Our top story in the Barbados Today's evening news for Friday, May 11. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary Claire Williams. Finance Minister Chris Sinclair says the Barbados Labour Party's manifesto, which was launched last night, is a recipe for the economic meltdown of the island. The BLP rolled out a 7-tier plan which pins the island's economic recovery on debt reprofiling. The BLP also outlined its plans to the public to finance ambitious promises such as the restoration of free tertiary education, the removal of the National Social Responsibility Levy, and the increase in non-contributory pensions. But Sinclair told Barbados Today the plan is full of contradictions, and he says the BLP is embarking on an ill-conceived mission to please everyone at the risk of destroying the country.
These proposals, if even remotely implemented, will be the destruction of the Barbados economy and society. It is nothing more than a figment of the person who prepared it imagination. And the Democratic Labour Party has been criticized, wrongly by the Labour Party for its economic policies. But if the public of Barbados wants to see what meltdown is, they should vote for this, because this will melt down not only our economy and society, but their lives as well.
Sinclair is also questioning Motley's announcement that a BLP government would go to the IMF if necessary.
Does anybody in Barbados believe that if Barbados were to approach the IMF for a program, as they has clearly suggesting that they will, do you believe that the IMF, in its traditional austerity mode, in its programs of adjustment and stabilization, fiscal consolidation across the Caribbean and the rest of the world, do you feel the International Monetary Fund will allow the Barbados government or a Barbados Labour Party government to implement a program with all their giveaways?
And Solutions Barbados candidate for Christchurch East Central, Scott Weatherhead, has branded Motley's proposed debt reprofiling program as unrealistic and unsustainable. Weatherhead told Barbados Today it would cost government almost $400 million in capital works projects on their own, and the annual operating expense of these changes would cost government $555 million a year.
This debt reprofiling cannot possibly raise the kind of revenue or reduce costs in such a way as to allow these things to be done. There's another problem with the BLP's math, and that is, while you may be able to reduce a small amount of annual expenditure through some level of debt reprofiling or debt consolidation, removing the NSRL and reducing VAT to 15% without any other significant tax reform measures, such as what Solutions Barbados has proposed, will reduce government's annual income by $279.4 million. So while you may get a small reduction in annual expenditure, you will also get a large reduction in income. The BLP's math simply does not make any sense whatsoever.
Weatherhead added that such measures as the reduction in VAT and the removal of the NSRL will require a complete overhaul of the tax system.
Without complete changes to the tax system, the way in which it functions, the entire tax structure on a whole, none of these measures can be implemented. And the BLP has not announced any plans to change or replace the existing tax system. Solutions Barbados has. So while we have said that we will remove the National Social Responsibility Levy entirely, and we will entirely remove the VAT at 70.5% completely, we can do so because we are financing it through a completely new type of tax system. That is the difference between our policies and the BLP's.
And another fake promise. That's how Transport and Works Minister Michael Lashley is describing the BLP's manifesto proposal to abolish road tax if elected to government on May 24. Addressing the launch of the party's manifesto last night, the economic advisor Clyde Maskell announced plans to replace the road tax with a requirement to pay a small levy on gas. He said, in the spirit of equity, commercial vehicles, which are more than average users of the roads, would be required to pay more. But Lashley is not impressed, and he questions how exactly the plan will work.
It is another fake promise, and of course we have to wait and see. It's like a election gimmick as far as I'm concerned. And what they should be dealing with is basically how are we going to further strengthen things like the Road Traffic Act to make people complain in relation to not paying road tax. And that is what the ministry is doing at this time. We're basically looking at a very strong strategic plan to ensure that there's strict compliance with the law.
In other news this evening, the man charged with the shooting death of Dwayne Forde earlier this month has been remanded to prison. Michael Shane James of Ashby Alley, Nelson Street, was not required to plead when he appeared before Magistrate Douglas Frederick in the District A Magistrates Court today. He was remanded to prison until June 8th. Residents of St. Joseph say they have been without running water for the past 3 days, and there have been frequent interruptions in service since late April. The Barbados Water Authority says the problem is due to a malfunctioning borehole at the Castle Grant Reservoir, which is affecting St. Joseph and parts of St. Thomas. The BWA issued a statement today advising residents of water outages over the next few days because of maintenance on the borehole. St. Joseph was one of the parishes that recently experienced over a year of water shortages, and one of the affected residents, businessman Anthony Hunt, is questioning why is there a problem now.
What I really don't understand is why should we need water? Have we not been maintaining the pumps properly? Because it has been raining all year. We've had the longest rainy season we've ever had. And we used to have problems in this area, and we were told that it was because Andrews factory used a lot of water. But there is no Andrews factory now. As you know, that's finished. So whether the pumps are not being maintained because there's a shortage of money to maintain the pumps or not, I don't know. I wouldn't think, of course, there's much shortage in resources to come to the waterworks when you see the size of their new building.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
One night, one winner, only one team can deliver. Balance, comprehensive, unrivaled coverage. Barbados Today, Capital Media HD 99.3 and 6 Gear Studios. Don't miss election night on www.facebook.com/Barbados Today, on www.barbadostoday.bb, live on www.capitalmediahd.com, and on www.facebook.com/CapitalMediaHD.
Thank you for staying with us. We're back with news from the region. The International Monetary Fund is reporting that prospects for economic growth in the Caribbean are improving, and both the tourism-dependent economies and commodity exporters are projected to record 1 to 2% growth over the next few years. The IMF released its regional outlook for the Western Hemisphere on Friday, and it estimates that growth for Latin America and the Caribbean will increase from 1.3% in 2017 to 2% this year. On the international scene, a teenage girl in India has been raped and burned alive by her attacker. This is the third such attack in the same week. The 16-year-old died after being soaked in fuel and set on fire at her home. Police say she was killed after she told her attacker that she would inform her family of the rape.